Hello. Let's go, baby.
How are you? So nice to meet you.
Real talk, my goal is to ask you some questions you've never been asked before. I want to take a stroll through your mind. Ready to get vulnerable?
Okay, my first question for you is a big question. Are you ready? I don't want a fake answer, okay? Are you happy?
Today, I'm not so happy.
You're not so happy today.
Mm-hmm.
Would you share why?
I'm an overthinker. I've been overthinking about a lot lately, and I think I'm just exhausted. Today, I'm feeling the exhaustion of thinking too much.
Thinking too much about life, career, yourself?
Relationships, friendships. So that has been kind of going on in my head lately. And today I was like, I've had it enough. I want to chill. I don't want to worry about anyone. Wow.
Today's about you then.
Yeah.
I appreciate you for being honest about that. Thank you. It's so hard to admit when we're not happy. I feel like especially as women, we always have to be like, good, how are you?
Yeah,
of course
especially
I'm
when
great.
you're in front of the camera, I think I've stopped pretending it's okay to not be okay.
Yeah.
And even if you're in front of the camera, you don't have to force yourself to feel something that you don't want to feel.
Yeah. What about in life in general and where you are in your career and the choices you've made? Would you say generally you've had a pretty good life and you're happy?
Yes, I am. That way, yes. I feel I'm very lucky. Not just luck, I work really hard. I'm living my dream life. I always wanted to do this. I always wanted to become an actor. I'm so grateful for the opportunities that I get. I am so grateful for all the amazing characters that I get to play on screen. I love that I'm using my platform as an actor the right way.
What's the right way?
I just want to portray women the right way. I love doing characters. I have done Mrs. I don't know if you've seen any of my films. I started with Dangal.
One of my favorite films of all time is Dangal.
I started with that. And I'm conditioned that way. I want to empower women. I want to empower myself and feel confident. And I want to, just portray women the right way on screen.
I want to dive into all this. A lot of your films portray complex women, unapologetic women that are real, that are honest, they're not surface level. You've also called yourself a feminist, correct?
Yes, I am.
You're pretty unapologetic. The fact that you just now said, oh, I portray women the right way and not the wrong way. And you said you're happy with where you are in life. The reason I illustrate all that is because I think there's this misconception that if you are outspoken, if you say you're a feminist, if you're really picky with the roles you choose, you're going to offend a bunch of men, you're not going to have a career, your life is going to be hell and you're going to be unhappy. And you are proof that that is not true.
Yeah.
You're actually proof that you can be all of those things and still be really happy. So I want to dive into that.
Right.
Where does this come from? Like you clearly have, and I say chip on the shoulder in a positive way. I think that has negative connotations, but I always say I have a huge chip on my shoulder. It's gender equality. That is 100% my agenda. I'm not lying about it. It is right there. That is the chip on my shoulder.
That's in the forefront.
100%. I'm assuming that's the chip on your shoulder and why you make these choices. Why is that the chip on your shoulder though? Have you ever been asked that question?
Never.
All right, we're off to a good start then.
Yes, we are.
We are indeed.
I wasn't like this. I was not a feminist. I actually didn't even know the right meaning of it. I moved to Mumbai. I started reading more. I started really focusing on my female friendships. I realized that there is a lack of empathy amongst women. People don't want us to be friends. People don't want us to be ruling anything. They want us to be oblivious about our own powers and our confidence and the things that we can do. I slowly started realizing that patriarchy has been happening, like with the women in my family, with my friends, and of course, social media was a huge eye-opener as well. That shift kind of happened with my career as well. I realized that growing up, I did not have such role models on screen. Like women were easily replaceable. There were not many substantial things that actresses were doing on screen. That, okay, fine, I've become an actor, I have this opportunity, I'm get the films that I'm getting, stick to my values and be like, okay, I'm getting this character, I'm getting this film. It might not get the audience, it might not get a lot of people to watch it, but I will still do it because I do believe in the message of it.
And I'll get into that because you've made some really cool choices. But you said something really interesting, which I actually want to give you a round of applause for.
Thank you.
Because I think it's hard for a lot of women to admit that being a feminist sometimes is a journey.
It is.
And I'll admit too, in one of my earlier YouTube videos, and I'm not proud of this, I think I even say the words, I'm not a feminist because I don't hate men. I fully had that like really bad definition of feminism where I believed it was so drilled into me that feminism is bad and being a feminist means you're difficult and it means you hate men. And I think deeply embedded in me was the fear that men would be angry if I said I was a feminist, that they would not watch my videos then, they wouldn't buy my merch, and I'd be like alienating half of the population. And so I remember making this joke in a YouTube video, and years later, I went back and I like pinned the comment, like, I just need to correct this and say I am fully a feminist. I was very confused, but it is true. I think a lot of women, because of society convincing us that, women can't get along. You know, we all laugh at the movie Mean Girls, but you know, that concept of mean girls and you can't get along with other girls at school and none of you all have to compete over the boy. All that stuff has convinced young girls that, feminism's not cool and like we shouldn't get along. And I think a lot of women go on this journey where they unlearn that and then they're like, actually, I think that was all a scam. I actually think feminism is great. I was convinced to not be on my own team in this way.
Right.
So I really applaud you for admitting that.
Not just for women. I think for men as well. Like feminism is not just for women, it's for men. When they realize that patriarchy is also making them suppress a lot of their emotions, or there's a lot of pressure that patriarchy puts on men. If they realize that, like, it's not just women who don't realize what patriarchy does to them.
So one of the reasons you have the chip on your shoulder then is that because you had to kind of unlearn some things and learn what feminism was and the value.
I'm constantly unlearning and learning new things. Constantly. About feminism, about my work, about women, about men, about emotions, relationships.
But I wonder, does the chip on your shoulder go deeper? Like, does it go back to how you were raised, where maybe subconsciously this chip on your shoulder was developing? This need to portray female characters the way you do?
Yes. And I realized that when I did Mrs., because through that movie and when I was prepping for that character, I met a lot of women, I interviewed them, and I have seen women like Richa around me.
Can you briefly tell us about Mrs., in case there's someone that hasn't seen it?
So Mrs. is about Richa, this newlywed girl. She is trying to find her balance in this new family. And slowly she realizes that she's getting trapped in the kitchen. She's not allowed to have hobbies, have a job, and not have the dreams that she wants to have. I'm very proud of the film. I'm so glad that a lot of people watched it and loved it. I meet women and they say things like, this is my story. I have been through this. I go through this every day. It makes me sad. Not just sad, it makes me angry. I know my movies, they're just like good conversation starter. I just hope that a woman is like, yeah, this is not right. Maybe things need to change. Even if that shift is happening, say 1%, I'm happy with that. You know, we think that if a woman is sacrificing, that's the best thing that they can do. We put them on a pedestal and be like, oh, she's a mother, she's a this, she's a that, and we expect them to keep sacrificing on their dreams. We reward them for that. Or sometimes we don't even reward them at all. Like, we don't even acknowledge that there is a sacrifice that these women are making. Like my mother, I think she always wanted to become a fashion designer, but she couldn't. Very later on in my life, I realized that she has dreams, she has hobbies, and there is so much pressure. I want my mother to act like my mother, but she's not just a mother, she's a human. We need to start putting them off the pedestal and be like, yeah, be insaan hai, inke bhi dukh hai. They feel things and they're allowed to do what they want to do and not just stick to the titles that the society or the family or their kids have given to them.
You said something that has actually blown my mind that I want to highlight, that we value women by looking at their sacrifices.
Yeah.
Like the more sacrifices a woman makes, the greater that woman is.
Yeah.
Which is kind of wild because I've never made that connection. But that's absolutely true.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think right now of all the times I might have made sacrifices to align with that. Because I think I also gravitate towards sacrificing things.
Really?
I think, meaning that I think subconsciously, I think my value lies in like what I can sacrifice. I do in small ways, like if I ignore my needs and like prioritize this other person's needs, that'll make me a greater caretaker and greater woman.
Right.
Like I think I do that sometimes actually.
Does that make you happy?
Is this my therapy session?
No, the tables have turned.
You know what's so twisted is it does and it doesn't. I think the trap of being a woman is that we're so conditioned to think we have to sacrifice for others that fulfilling that makes me happy in a way because I'm like, I'm fulfilling my worldview. This makes sense, so I'm happy in that way. But I'm unhappy because it doesn't actually inherently feel good in my body. It just, my worldview stays intact. But sometimes your worldview staying intact is not a good thing.
Right.
Sometimes it needs to break, even
Right.
if it feels uncomfortable. I always say, just because something's familiar doesn't make it right. So that's very interesting. Are you saying you can't think of a time you've ever sacrificed to be a good girl?
Oh yeah, I might have in my childhood, but not anymore. I don't. Because I know if I'm not filling my own cup, I'll be putting that pressure on someone else. I'll be like, oh, I am doing this for you, and now you need to make me happy, and you need to make me feel good. But the reality is nobody can make you feel good. Nobody can satisfy you. Nobody can change anything in your life. You have to do that job.
I like that a lot. Okay, so let's rewind for a second here. You said that your movie Misses. A lot of people
Yes.
saw themselves in it. Was that what your household looked like growing up?
Kind of, yes. In a Desi household, you would usually see a woman in the kitchen and men outside the kitchen waiting to be served, waiting for things to happen for them. That's how things are. And that's how things were in my house as well. I never realized that we unconsciously are putting so much pressure on her. And I realized this when I moved to Mumbai, and this was 10 years back. And I went back to Delhi for something, and one day she was not well, and she started crying. She said, I'm really sad that I'm not well and I could not cook for you. I'm feeling really bad that I didn't make anything for you. And I was like, no, Mama, I know you love me. If you're not able to cook for me, that doesn't mean that you don't love me. So this action of yours has nothing to do with the love that you have for me. And that's when I realized that we don't realize that women, because they've been sacrificing so much for their family, for their kids, act of service kind of becomes their love language. And I feel that their love language could be something else, but they never realized that. And when I spoke to her, now she doesn't really care if she's not making anything for me. She's like, yeah, you're right. I don't have to cook for anyone. And I love that for her. Sometimes when I see her in the morning and she's doing her morning routine and she's not straight going to the kitchen, I feel really proud. Like, she prioritizes her me time. She really loves taking care of herself. I just love how my mother is changing with the time. She's not rigid, and I love that about her.
Wow, you said another thing that blew my mind, because you know the number one thing I tell everyone?
Yeah.
My love language is acts of service. And
hence you've been like,
do that for other people as well.
Yeah.
And that's wild, because I do like doing things for other people, but I do it even if I'm tired. I do it if my battery's on 0.
Oh God.
I feel compelled. Oh my God, why are you let's switch spots. Why are you schooling me right now?
Okay, let's go.
I do feel like that's interesting, because now that I think about it, I can't name a single mother I know, especially a Desi mother,
Yes.
whose love language is not acts of service. And that makes me think that maybe it's not actually, maybe that's a trained response.
Yes, it is. It is. Like,
Wow.
I now I know my mother's love language is physical touch and quality time. That has
Wait,
changed
your
now.
Desi mom's love language is physical touch? Said no one
Yes.
ever.
You
No one has
really?
uttered that sentence. That is the first time in history that sentence has been uttered.
I love that
You
for
hug your
myself.
mom,
Yeah.
she hugs you
Yeah.
with her arms.
Yes.
You
every
touch.
morning.
Every morning?
Yes, she's here in Mumbai. I hug her every morning. I hug her every night.
That's 2 hugs now. We're at 2 hugs a day.
Many in between those 2 hugs.
That is so cute. Now, I'm not going to lie.
And I also, I love holding hands. So I hold her hand. And even with my father, like we hold hands and we have...
With your Whoa! Yeah. With your father?
Yeah.
What the hell? That is
Yeah.
amazing. I will say my family is not big on physical touch at all.
Yeah.
I think the most I've ever got out of my dad is like a backpack, a stern back, like just a good job, Lil. Just a stern, maybe 2-pat situation. Me and my sister, I truly don't think we've ever hugged with both arms. I really don't think so. It's been a 1-arm situation, maybe a little.
I think I forced my father into it.
Really?
Yes.
How did he react?
He's good now. I like my father. He's really cute. I love both. I love mama. I love my father. As I said, they're not rigid. They're ready to change with time. They're ready to unlearn and learn. This is something that I learned from them. My father recently started going to the gym. He was going through something and I told him that, okay, let's go to the gym together. And he's hooked to it. The other day I called him up and I was like, Dad, do you want to meet? Should we go out for dinner? And he said, I'm really sorry, beta, I'm going to the gym. I can't. Yeah, I just love them.
Like I said, physical touch is not big in my family.
Yes.
But I have made my mom into a hugger as well. So me and my mom hug a lot. I do hold her hand sometimes. In fact, my mom has said this to me and it's been very, very sweet. Once she told me when I was visiting home and I hugged her and she said, Lily, when you're not here, nobody hugs me. Aww. And that was really sweet because I was like, oh, my family's not very physical touch. But I think physical touch is so important.
Yeah, it is.
Right? And so I also love that you said, because I don't know a lot of people that have said this sentence. My parents are so ready to change. They're so ready to grow and unlearn and learn. I feel like so many of us are convinced that our parents, like, you know, they always say, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. Like, it is what it is. They're not going to learn. They've done enough in this lifetime. But you're saying that your parents are so willing to change.
Yes.
You also told me that you grew up in a household where your mom was in the kitchen. Has that
Not
changed?
anymore.
I was going to say, have you ever actually brought that up with them?
Yes, I have.
Well, tell me about you bringing that up with them. Because it's not easy to bring up things from your childhood to your parents, in my opinion. So tell me about that. And spare no detail.
I spoke to them about this when I started taking therapy.
Which was when?
In 2020.
Okay.
We had a lot of time
during
the lockdown.
What else are you going to do? Might as well heal yourself.
And I did not know what to do with the new information that I'm getting about childhood trauma, about the things that I've been carrying. And I wanted to just vomit it out to my parents, which was not the right thing to do in hindsight. I should not have done that. Because I was really upset and I was like, oh, this is the reason I feel so horrible about a few things. That's the reason I'm so anxious all the time. In that moment, I was like, oh, I need to tell my parents, this is what I'm doing. I'm taking care of myself.
So you actually said, I want to bring up the fact that mom was in the kitchen?
Yes. And that used to bother me a lot. I was really vocal with my father as well. I used to have constant fights with them that why can't you go to the kitchen and get yourself some water or cook yourself a meal? And he used to do that. He's really sweet. Like after all those fights, he used to try and cook for us. Mm-hmm. But that is something that he still needs to, work on. I just feel that kind of becomes their second nature. They just like being pampered. So my mother doesn't cook that often. One day she was like, I'm exhausted. Like all of us as family, we were really happy that she was taking that step for herself.
When you told your parents you wanted to be an actor, were they supportive?
Surprisingly, my mother wasn't.
Wasn't?
Yes.
What did she say?
She was adamant about that I should do post-grad or MBA before I do anything, because she was scared that if this doesn't work out, then you should have a job.
Yeah.
That could be your plan B. But surprisingly, my father was really supportive. When I told him, I was expecting him to be angry, but he was really happy with my decision. And he said that that's a really good choice. I think you should go to Mumbai. You should move there. And I was shocked and I was like, what is happening? Is he like not serious? He was really happy and he said that I've seen that you really love acting. You love doing things in front of the camera. You're quite dramatic. You should move to Mumbai and pursue your dream of becoming an actor. So I did that and I moved here.
You moved here. You're not from a family of actors. You're trying to prove yourself. You know, you want to make it. But then at the same time, you're being really selective with roles. Was that from day one of you being in Mumbai where you were like, I am going to be really selective with the types of movies and roles?
I'm conditioned that way. I can't leave my values and the things that I believe in aside. I was really confident about that. I thought that, okay, it will be a really slow journey as an actor. I was never really concerned about that. I genuinely love acting. I'm happy and I'm really proud of the projects that I pick and the characters that I play. That is something that really keeps me satisfied.
How long after you moved to Mumbai did you audition for Dangal?
1 year.
1 year. Okay, I'm going to ask you a question. I want you to think about it for a second because it's a safe space. There's no wrong answers here.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say you didn't get Dangal, okay? Because that was your first movie audition and you got it. Let's say you didn't get it. And now it's 1 year and 2 years and 3 years and 4 years. Do you believe in your heart you'd still be as picky with scripts?
I would have moved back to Delhi and done something else. I love acting, but I also believe that if tomorrow I feel like, I want to do something else, I'll be able to do that as well. So I'm not attached to my profession. So I would have moved back and done something else.
I love that. Confidence is giving confidence, baby. We're going to get to your confidence in a second because I'm going to need to bottle it and sell it to the masses. But before we get there, you get a script, okay? What is it? What are you actually looking for? And what is a deal breaker for you where you're like, I'm not going to do this?
Usually my intuition telling me that this is going to be a good one. And then, of course, you have to be really mindful about who the producer is, who's directing it. But one of my major deal breaker would be if I'm not able to empathize with the character. That's it. As an actor, you need to empathize with whatever you're playing on screen. If I'm playing a psycho killer, I'll have to empathize with that psycho killer and be like, yes, I can be a psycho killer as well.
What female character on the page would you not be able to empathize with?
I'm someone who's constantly looking for validation outside. Maybe someone like that.
It seems like it has to do with more with like how the women are written.
Yes.
Let me ask you this question because I know you're a feminist. I'm a feminist, and we believe in these strong women, and we want to fight the good fight. Have you ever been on a set of a film where you're like, this film is so good for women. The character I'm playing is amazing. Young girls are going to watch this. They're going to feel so empowered. And then you're on set shooting and you look around and you're like, there are so many problematic things on this set. Has that ever happened to you?
I love that question. Yes. A lot of times.
Tell me, baby.
As I said, and I am someone who would fight it out. Oh God, I'm so embarrassed.
Safe space. Tell me.
I do feel safe, but I was not so proud of this scene I shot for a film. And I had to really fight with the director and tell him that this is not right. Like, you should not be portraying a woman this way. But in Bollywood, they have, this is really massy. It will really connect with the masses. And then if you're getting anything logical in the way of that, they're like, you're being too woke. That's what he told me.
Too woke.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, really? And we did like slightly get trolled for that scene. I will not just sit and suffer.
You always call things out.
Yes.
I'm going to put that to the test right now. I'm going to give you some scenarios, and I want to know what you would do in these scenarios, okay?
Okay.
First one. A co-actor casually says, you're so lucky. Women get emotional scenes so easily.
Call it out.
Call it out? What are you going to say?
I was told by a co-actor once that you are a feminist without a cause. And I had to give him a long speech.
A feminist without a cause?
Yeah, they said that, oh, if you are offered a film where you'll be getting the audience and the money, you would go ahead and do it. And I was like, no, I would not. If I would have done that, my career would have shaped in a very different way. Like, I'm taking so much time and years to make it because of a reason. I'm here sticking with my values.
Because of a cause.
Yeah.
Wow. Next one. It's your dream role, but someone asks you to change something about your body permanently.
Never.
What if it's like your hair?
If I don't like it, I would not do it. I love my curls. Like, I'll make it wavy, I'll put a wig on, but that's it. I usually stick to my textured hair.
Next. On set, you're offered the bigger vanity van, but only because the male lead didn't want it.
Now that I need to question my confidence. Why am I not questioning that? I don't know. Maybe I'll let it go.
Maybe because you got the bigger vanity van.
Yeah, they're like, okay, you don't want it, I'll take it.
I have a feeling I know the answer to this one, but let's go. A man takes credit for a woman's idea in a room full of industry folks.
Call it out. Or joke about it.
What do you mean by joke about it?
Or be sarcastic. I've done that.
You've done that?
I've done that.
A friend introduces you to the love of her life, but you know he's an obvious red flag.
I tell my friends. Yeah. And they hate me for that.
Even if she's so in love and she's so happy?
Yeah. We have done that. But I really appreciate honesty, and they do it for me as well. So I'm really lucky to have amazing girlfriends and friends around. But at one point, okay, fine, they're married now. So you just have to let it go. But yeah.
Do you see that? Kids calling out doesn't always work.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
Someone who asks, why are you so picky about scripts?
Because I am. And I love that.
So you would call it out?
Yeah.
A reporter asks, why don't you do more glam roles?
Why don't you shut up?
I'm going to take that as a call out. Okay. Yeah. Very good. Someone praises your film, but only your male co-star gets tagged in the post.
Oh my God. Call it out. And not post the post.
Don't share it.
I would not share it. I've done that too.
That's happened to you?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Oh my God. Okay. Next one. A male co-star repeatedly interrupts you mid-answer in a press junket.
That has never happened.
Really? Would you call it out publicly?
I would love that. But will I be able to do it? Maybe not.
Would you do it privately?
Yes.
I feel like this kind of happened to you because I know the answer to this. A guy you like says feminism is too extreme these days. What is your response to that? Because a lot of people do think that feminism is too extreme these days.
Yeah, women have it easy. A guy told me once. He started sending me these podcast reels. Have you seen those? Those guys sitting with a bunch of women and they are basically talking shit about feminism and how women should be. And I was like, I can't talk to this person. He has no brains, has no idea what feminism is, and I'm not his teacher. I'm not friends with him anymore.
Okay. Last one. I have a feeling this has happened to you because it's happened to me. A journalist asks you a question about your looks instead of your performance.
Oh, all the time. And not just that. Makeup products really pisses me off. And they would ask my male co-actor really good questions about how did you prep for your character? What did you do for this role? And they would ask me something really obnoxious or stupid. Like,
did you answer it?
No, I did not.
I want you to school me here because I feel like when I'm in that situation, as much as it irritates me, I think I do answer. I'm like, okay, well, yeah, my favorite makeup product is because I don't know what else to say. What do you say instead?
You can usually see it on my face if I'm irritated. Be like, huh? Ye kaise sawal hua? Like that.
And you just leave it at that?
Yeah.
Wow. Let's talk about confidence for a second because it's come up a lot in this conversation. You're giving confidence to the fact that you're like, you can see it on my face if I don't like something.
Yeah.
I don't need to do certain roles if I don't want to. There's other ways I can make money.
Yeah.
Where does this sense of confidence come from? Have you always been like this?
Even as a kid, I was this confident. I'm surrounded by such amazing women. I have to give the credit to my girlfriends, my mother. They're all quite vocal about what they like, what they don't like. I think I get that from them as well. But I've always been this confident. Always.
I would like to believe I have a lot of strong values.
Mhm.
I care a lot about strong women. I care a lot about making sure the work I do
Hmm.
has a good message. My goal is like, I want young girls to see it and I want them to feel like empowered. I want them to feel good about themselves.
Superwoman for a reason.
Oh, thank you. But I'm also really honest in admitting that I am worried sometimes. You know, I live alone in Hollywood and I'm like, I need to make it. I need to make sure that my career goes to the next level. I need to make sure I get bigger roles. I need to make sure my movies do really, really well.
Mhm.
And so I am kind of caught in this place where I'm like, I want my stuff to be commercially successful, but I also want to make sure it's really, really meaningful.
Hmm.
Are you not on those crossroads?
I'm not. I honestly feel that if tomorrow I feel like I want to dance, do something on stage, or maybe go somewhere else and do something else, I'll be able to let go of what I'm doing and do something that makes me really happy and satisfied. We tend to box ourselves, and I hate doing that. I hate doing that as an actor as well. I don't like doing similar characters. And even in my life, I don't do that.
So you want to do various types of characters.
Yes, not just that, I want to do everything. Everything. I want to direct, I want to make music, I want to dance,
But there's one
or
thing.
not do anything at all. I love doing nothing. I love it.
How people dress, motherhood, all these ideas are very much so like we've been convinced feminism means one or the other. There's a binary. But I think really what feminism is just the choice to do what's right for you.
Yes.
Like I know I probably don't want to give birth to kids. I've never a day in my life had the desire to give birth to kids. And I know that. And sometimes people will look at me and be like, as a woman, you should want to. I think it's better if I know that and don't have kids
Right.
rather than be a terrible mother.
Right.
And if that's what you want, that's great. Do that. I'm not judging you. I just don't want that for myself.
Right.
So you're so unapologetic. You call yourself a feminist. You love being an angry feminist. You call a lot of things out.
Yeah, I love being an angry feminist. I love being angry. I think we also want women to not portray anger. We want them to be soft and nice and sweet. No, please be angry.
There's so much to be angry about, to be honest.
Yeah.
We don't talk about that enough. I feel we're
Yeah.
also tapped into like calm and that's all fine. But we should be angry.
Yeah, it's an emotion. Why would you not want to feel an emotion? You feel sadness, you feel happiness, you feel joyful, whatever you want to feel. But anger is something that we really feel shameful about. When a man is getting angry, there's no shame attached to that. I used to start crying after being angry because I used to feel really shameful. I used to feel like this is not how I should be behaving.
Maybe it has to do with what you said earlier, is that when you're angry, you're not sacrificing yourself anymore. I think part of women sacrificing things is not being angry.
Right.
I simply must ask, are men mad at you?
Not at all. I love men. When I say I'm a feminist, that doesn't mean I'm a man hater. I have amazing men around me. They have made me a better feminist. And I am really grateful that I have such amazing men around me. I love my father. I love my friends.
Have men ever been angry at your films? Like Mrs.? Did that
Yeah.
have it?
Of course. They were burning my posters.
You were burning your posters?
Yes, I had no idea about it because I took some time off of work. I was so excited. I ran to my dad and I was like, Dad, they're boycotting me and they're burning my posters. And my dad was like, you made it, you made it. He was really happy and proud.
You weren't scared about your success, your career, or any of that?
Not at all. They should feel uncomfortable. They should feel bad. But of course, like, I'm not here to make them angry, but I'm sure the men who were like burning my poster haven't even seen Mrs. And they don't even know what feminism is all about. So I'm not here to teach anyone.
Very often when I shoot these interviews, the person that sits there, if it's a woman, and she talks about feminism, she always says one sentence. You are the only person perhaps that has not said this sentence. And so I want to understand why. Anytime an Indian woman sits in this chair and she says something about pay or feminism or being mistreated on set or wanting to play certain characters, she says, but not all men. But men also have it really hard. There's a disclaimer always when we talk about feminism. What do you have to say to that? Because you don't seem to have that concern.
I don't judge those women because I know soon they'll realize that they don't have to please anyone, not themselves or other women. It's just a cause. If you're a feminist, you don't have to be apologetic about anything. And as I said earlier, it's not just about women. Feminism is for men as well. If you still call yourself a feminist and if you are doing anything towards that, then it's okay. It's totally fine.
Wow. A living feminist with posters burned is living a happy life and is smiling. You can be a feminist and live to tell the tale. You see that? You don't have to give disclaimers. You can just thrive like this human being right here. Thank you so much for chatting with me and for schooling me and for being so open and unapologetic. I look forward to seeing all the future roles you do. And I also look forward to you being like, I don't like this anymore and do something else. And I'll be cheering you on then too. Thank you so much.
Hi, subscribe, hit the bell icon, like, share, comment down below if you liked the episode. I loved it. And yes, go.
There were so many things.
Right now. Do it.
Isi waqt. Was that right?
Yeah. Isi waqt.
My Hindi. Wow.